this a bit more later, is the Shabat. So on the holy day, we don't leave our home for a big distance, maybe just a short walk out, but you shouldn't go more than 2,000 arms lengths away from the area where you live.
Okay.
And also the computer is off. We don't use, there's 39 different kinds of activity. I think there's a story it's in Hadith about Jewish people who did not honor the Sabbath, the holy day of rest. I know there's a teaching that Jewish people believe in a partner of God, the son of Israel. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
Okay, well that's what I heard from a Muslim saying, the Jewish people believe in a partner with God.
No.
You haven't heard that one. I'm glad.
Because what we believe that at least Jewish people and Muslim people, they believe in one God without any partner. That's our common belief.
Right. Yes. No. That is correct. That is correct. I don't know where this came from. I think maybe
from Rome.
I don't know where the story. Obviously, Christians have this idea of Jesus. Jewish people have never believed in any partners with God.
A Muslim can eat with Jew. Right. There is no problem with that at all.
Right.
But a Muslim cannot eat with someone who believes that God has partner.
All right.
They're called mushrik.
Yes.
The one who shares God, have many gods, maybe,
So is that true? So that Muslims cannot eat, say, does that mean Muslims cannot have a meal with a Christian?
If Christian believes in one God, as they claim that they believe in one God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
सलामती है अगर आप चाहते हैं कि आपके बच्चे चाहे वो मशरिक में रहते हों या मगरिब में, यूरोप में, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, अमेरिका में, दुबई में या फिर कनाडा में, दुनिया के किसी भी हिस्से में, अगर वो इन असातिज़ा के साए में रहना चाहते हैं, गाए बगाए इनके साथ नसीहत हासिल करना चाहते हैं, कुरान की तालीम हो, मज़हब की बुनियाद हो, अकायद हो, फ़िक़्ह हो, या वो बेसिक चीज़ें हों जो उनके अखलाक को मजबूत बनाती हैं, उन्हें अपने कल्चर के साथ जोड़ती हैं, तो फिर आपको रब्बानी किड्स एकेडमी में अपने बच्चों का दाखिला करवाना ही पड़ेगा। एक ऐसा इदारा है जो ग्लोबली सबको जोड़ता है और एक बेहतरीन असातिज़ा की ज़ेरे परस्ती, उनकी ज़ेरे साया, उनकी ज़ेरे निगरानी जारी और सारी है। फ़ौरन से क्लिक करें, वेबसाइट पे जाएं, राब्ता करें और अपने बच्चों का एडमिशन कराएं ताकि आपको दुनिया भर के मजहबी और अखलाकी मयारों के साए में अपने बच्चों को परवरिश देने का मौका मिले।
So today we are going to meet Rabbi Solomon again. Here you go. Good morning, Rabbi. How are you doing?
Good morning, Mohammed. How are you?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Wonderful.
Welcome to my home.
Thank you. It's a beautiful home.
Thank you.
And it's the second time we can't see your wife, so we are lucky enough.
Yeah, my children go to a very intense spiritual school because we want them to really learn the Torah in the original Hebrew.
Yeah.
So it's now 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
They already left the home to go to drive for an hour to the other side of the city, where they can have a more intense learning, deep learning of the Torah, the Talmud, so unfortunately, where I live on the north side of the city, there is a Jewish school, but it's not teaching in the original language. So translations, you lose something. So
of course.
We want them to actually learn the Torah in Hebrew, so they can actually understand much more deeply.
Wonderful.
What the Torah is teaching us.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a beautiful home. The books,
yes.
The TV, the computer, everything is here.
And the other thing that your viewers might be interested in, we'll talk about this a bit more later, is the Shabbat. So on the holy day, we don't leave our home for a big distance, maybe just a short walk out, but you shouldn't go more than 2,000 arms lengths away from the area where you live.
Okay.
And also the computer is off. We don't use, there's 39 different kinds of activity. I think there's a story it's in Hadith about Jewish people who did not honor the Sabbath, the holy day of rest. Because it is actually a very, very important part of it's one of the 10 commandments.
Yeah.
So we have 39 different kinds of things we don't do. We don't write. We don't light fire. We don't build. Many things we don't do. And of course, today everyone's on their phones and the computers, but on Shabbat that doesn't happen. So instead,
So it's just it's Shabbat, yeah.
Shabbat.
Mostly it's Saturday, or it's a particular day, not Saturday.
No, it is on Saturday.
Yeah.
It begins on sunset on Friday night, Saturday day until dark, until 3 stars.
Oh, wonderful.
But in the long afternoons, what do, right?
Yeah.
So firstly, we often have a tradition where you have a sleep just to rest your body. We also do a lot of prayer on Shabbat and Torah study, but also board games. So like this game here is a game, it says 613.
Yeah.
That's the number of commandments.
Okay.
So God has 613 main instructions, 613.
Yeah.
For Jewish people in the Torah to play. So this game is for children to try and remember.
Wow, a good way to learn.
It's a great way to learn. Yeah.
Wow.
So the different cards are about different ones of the commandments, and then there's questions about the different commandments. This one here is about animal sacrifice, in Hebrew called korban. I think in Arabic there's the word
Qurbani. Yeah.
Yes, so korban is to offer an animal to God. This one, number 377, is about when we had animal sacrifice in the times when there was a temple in Jerusalem.
Okay.
There would be 2 sheep every day, one in the morning, and one in the evening. And so this card here, when children are playing, they need to remember who does this korban, where, when, and if someone does a mistake, is there a punishment?
Oh,
okay,
nice.
So each commandment has a separate card, and on Shabbat sometimes we can play with these commandments. Sometimes we'll play chess. This particular set, I was, when in the time of the Enlightenment, many Jewish people, a lot of people in Europe believed that science was better than religion, right? And so many people lost their religion, and also the governments in Russia, Ukraine, forced people not to pray or to close down synagogues. They used oppression to force people to forget their religion. So when I was a young man, I went to Ukraine to teach people their religion that has been forgotten. This was in the 1990s, and while I was there, I got this chess set, and so this is a wooden chess set from Moscow, and of course it's the old communist, fighting with the Americans. And so sometimes on Shabbat, I'll sit with my children and we'll just
play. Wonderful.
And
play and learn
together. Play and learn and pray.
Wonderful.
So that's Shabbat. So lots of different games. This is like a tic-tac-toe kind of game. It's a different game of where different pieces gobble, but it's just about play and being together.
Wonderful. So I have a feeling today you're gonna tell us something about kosher, the Jewish food, how to make it, things like it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Wonderful.
So look, one of I know that in Islam there are certain animals that are allowed and forbidden. Right. For Jews also, we are allowed to eat sheep, goats, cows. Okay. Many kind of fish, if they have fins and scales. What is forbidden is other animals that are not allowed in the Torah, including bugs or worms. Okay. Now, in vegetables, sometimes, in Australia, it's not such a big problem. But in the United States and Europe, a lot of the vegetables will have bugs in them. In Australia, it's a bit less common. But before we eat anything that might have a bug in it, we wash it and we also check it. Okay. So that way, for sure. If you look at that closely, that might be that little black thing.
Yeah.
Right. So if I eat this is the same as eating from a pig. Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very important thing. ये कह रहे हैं कि चूंकि कीड़े मकोड़े खाना हराम है, so अगर इसमें if he'll find insect in it, इसको ये खाते हैं तो ये बिल्कुल ऐसे जैसे ये पिग खा रहे हैं, सुअर खा रहे हैं. That's not allowed.
Yep, that's right. It's haram.
Wow, interesting.
Look here, another one. Look.
Yeah.
Right. So this is from the shop. So if I just take it and just eat it as is, then that's there's no difference between eating a pig or an insect. It's the same sin.
That's very interesting. वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. छोटा सा कीड़ा भी हो, जख्म भी हो, तो वो उसको बिल्कुल ऐसे कंसिडर कर रहे हैं जैसे कि सुअर खाना होता है. सो दैट्स नॉट अलाउड. Eating pig is not allowed in Judaism as well. Yeah?
Correct. Yeah. Pigs, horses, also shellfish. So we can eat from the sea. We can eat fish that have fins or scales, but not different creatures from the sea that are that don't have fins and scales.
Mostly Asians do that. They like all kind of creatures in the water.
Yes.
But so it's like you can eat this and you cannot eat this. There are some categories.
Yes. So and I'm looking in the light to see is there anything there that I missed, even though I washed it. So this is checking just to see when it's something that could have bugs. You wash and check.
Oh.
Okay. So that's the
it
process.
Needs proper attention. It means it's not like maybe or may not be.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So this is part of the preparing vegetables.
Yeah.
Now then there is another commandment that relates to blood.
Blood. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So in the Torah it's written, Hadam hu nefesh. I know that in Arabic there's the word nafs.
Yeah.
Okay. So in Hebrew, sh and s is the same letter. Nefesh, nafs, it's practically the same word.
Yeah.
And what's written is that the blood contains the soul of the animal, right?
Okay.
And so therefore, because God wants us to respect life, he gives us permission to eat meat, but not to eat blood.
Of course.
Okay. So with eggs, sometimes there could be a spot of blood in an egg, and if you boil eggs, it's okay. You just because you can't find it. So. But if you're going to break the egg before cooking it, then the obligation is to check the egg.
Okay. And how would you check it?
I'll show you now.
कह रहे हैं कि अंडे के अंदर अगर कोई खून की शबाहत भी मौजूद नजर आए, इम्कान नजर आए, तो वो नहीं खाया जा सकता, इसलिए वो चेक करना पड़ेगा.
So I'm looking at the egg now. So this is a glass. I can see the bottom. I can see the top, and this one has no blood in it. So. Also, you'll notice there's cooking here and cooking over there.
What's the difference?
This is for milk, and that is for meat.
Oh, the milk and meat would be cooked differently?
Yes, separately. Separately. So in the Torah it says, do not cook a goat in the mother's milk. Again, respecting life. If you're going to have milk, you have milk separately. If you cook meat, you do it separately. But like the milk, I guess, is the nourishing of the next generation. And again, it's respecting life,
Yeah.
So you don't cook a parent and a child at the same time, and you also don't cook the parent animal and the nourishing of its
Wow,
young.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's a respect for life. He said that अगर आप दूध बना रहे हैं और गोश्त बना रहे हैं तो दोनों को अलग अलग किचन में रखेंगे. वहां पर एक किचन है और यहाँ पर एक किचन है. इन दोनों के अलग अलग चूल्हे हैं, साथ नहीं मिलाएंगे क्योंकि माँ है और बच्चा है. तो जो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन है उसको आपने मिक्स नहीं करना है. एक एहतराम है लाइफ के लिए.
Yeah, so that's usually we have different colors also for the milk and the meat, so that even the plates, because some of the taste goes into the plate, we don't want to have the same plate where you had meat or you had cheese or milk. So yeah, I don't know why, but often it's blue for milk, and red or white for meat. But the colors, it could be any colors. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so that's quite strict. The checking for the blood. Yeah. And interesting. Go ahead, please.
I'm sorry, but all the religious Jews have to follow it, or it just someone does and someone does not?
It is a requirement. Some Jewish people over time have lost connection with some of the practice. I think part of that was people were trying to fit in because Jewish people were always for many years were a minority in other countries, and there was a lot of pressure from the society to fit in, to be like everybody else. And also in the 1800s, there was and early 1900s, there was a belief that people thought that science knows everything and religion is just old superstition. So a lot of people lost some of these customs. Interesting though, I met a woman here in a small town in Grafton, and in her family they had she didn't know that they were Jewish.
Okay.
Because again, pressure to fit into the rest of society. But even though they didn't do any of the religion, they didn't even know they were Jewish, but she always saw her mother check the eggs for blood. Because for them, that was the normal way of it was just normal, because that's what that we've done for generations. And this woman didn't know she was Jewish, but she went to exhibition in Canberra, and they had a Jewish cookbook, and it said, this is the way you prepare food. And she looked to a non-Jewish colleague and she said, doesn't everybody do this? She didn't know that this way of preparing food was a Jewish way that was obeying the commandments, because she didn't even know she was Jewish. Later on, before her mother died, on her deathbed, she said, we're Jewish. But until then, or maybe it was even her grandmother that said it. So she had no idea, but she was always doing this because it's become just a normal part of being Jewish.
Okay.
So for Muslims, I mean, what makes food proper? Not haram.
Yeah. So the first thing is, it should not be occupied. It should not be captured. It should be on. You should have bought the food, of course, halal. The earning of it should be halal. The second thing is, if it's a meat, it should be slaughtered in the name of God.
Right.
So you have to slaughter it in a way that when you're moving the knife over the neck, you said Allahu Akbar. The God is only one.
Right.
He's the Almighty. None other has a belonging except the God.
Right.
And of course, there are some conditions. You should offer water to the slaughtered meal, or the coat, or
you offer water to the animal.
Before you slaughter.
Wow. So showing compassion.
Compassionate, and mother should not be watching the child when you are slaughtering it. So you have to take her out.
Right.
Should be adult enough, not a very small one. So these are the conditions Muslims have.
Fascinating, because I mean, I knew about saying a prayer before slaughter, but I didn't know about the water. This is a beautiful way of mercy.
Very beautiful indeed. And it's all respect about the creatures, and the God has given you the authority. It means you have to respect God. You can't tie her legs tightly as well.
Right.
And you make sure just one knife or one hit. You should not tease her like,
Yeah.
The jugular vein, they call it.
Right.
So yeah, that's the way.
Interesting. So for us, when we kill animals for food, this knife would not be appropriate.
Yeah.
Because it is forbidden to have serrated. It has to be extremely sharp.
Yeah.
Without even a small bump in it.
Yeah, that's right.
So my great grandfather. Actually, I'll show you just quickly my family tree.
Yeah, please.
So I did this for my daughter. This is my family.
Yeah, you showed me that last time.
Oh, I did. Okay. Yeah. So this is my father.
Yeah.
And that was his grandfather.
Yeah.
Who was a very respected man in his community, and one of his main jobs was to slaughter animals in accordance with the laws. So there's many laws, and it's considered a very respected role in the community to be the one to actually slaughter the animals.
Wonderful. Amazing. Is this olive oil?
Yeah, olive oil. All oil that is generally kosher. So there's not a lot of rules about it, but you want to make sure that the animal fats, other things didn't get mixed in. So that there, the OU, that's a symbol that someone has checked the machines to make sure that nothing unkosher was in it.
I got two questions for you now.
Yes.
So the first one is about the kosher. What exactly is kosher? What does it mean?
Right.
Kosher.
Yes.
And the second is interesting. It's like someone said, maybe it's a misconception that Jews hate olive because Arabs like olive.
Thank you for it. Look, it is unbelievable the kinds of things that people come up with, you know. Unfortunately, I mean, there's that beautiful, I think it's an al-Fakihah, that idea that God created us to know each other, which is such a beautiful teaching. Unfortunately, many times people just guess things about each other and then build up stories. This is the first time I've ever heard this. Jews have nothing against olives. Olives are a very, very important, very respected fruit in Judaism. There are 7 kinds of foods that are considered a special gift from God.
Wow.
And olives is one of those. So if you have, if you're having a meal, there are special prayers you say before you eat different things. If you have an olive and you have an apple, you will always eat the olive first. And say the prayer with the olive first, because the olive is a very, very respected fruit in our religion. And olive oil is considered very significant also. So when we have an upcoming festival called Hanukkah, it's a special festival that happens in the middle of the winter. We say we light candles with olive oil. This is the best way. You're allowed to use wax and things like that, but the best way to do that commandment is with olive oil.
All right.
So it's very, very respected. Also, olive oil is seen as symbolic for Jewish people, because olive oil, or any oil, but olive oil particularly, we think about it. Well, 2 things. First of all, olive oil comes from crushing the olive. And there's a symbol in that to recognize that sometimes God will allow people to suffer. Jewish people have suffered in many places, but when you crush an olive, the oil comes out. Okay? And so we see identification with olive oil, just as olive oil shows the blessing that can come from suffering.
Yeah.
For Jewish people, if we remember our history in other places with the Romans and so on, and we see that sometimes some of our greatest scholars came from places of oppression. The government was trying to, imprison people, kill people, and instead of people losing their faith, it made their faith stronger. Also, olive oil, try and mix olive oil with water. Olive oil stays separate. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so that's also about not becoming assimilated, not losing our identity.
Your identity. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So I thank you for that. I'd never heard that myth.
Yeah. There is a tree named as burgut. I don't know if it's called burgut in English as well, but that's the most favorite tree of Jewish people. And
never heard of that either.
Maybe the name is different. I'll just confirm it. But yeah.
But you've heard that Jewish people have a certain favorite tree.
Favorite tree. They love to plant that tree, and that's the tree that will save them at the end of the time.
So I've been studying the Torah every day for 50 years, half a century.
Yeah.
First time I hear of it.
Okay. So that's the reason of doing the conversation, because it sorted out a lot of misconceptions.
Yeah. Yeah. The other one that's interesting, talking about misconceptions, and I was very surprised to hear this, is, and I know this is a bit more sensitive, but I know there's a teaching that Jewish people believe in a partner of God, the son of Israel. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
Okay, well, that's what I heard from a Muslim saying, the Jewish people believe in a partner with God.
No.
You haven't heard that one. I'm glad.
Because what we believe that at least Jewish people and Muslim people, they believe in one God without any partner. That's our common belief.
Great. Yes. No, that is correct. That is correct. I don't know where this came from. I think maybe
from Rome.
I don't know where the story was. Obviously, Christians have this idea of Jesus. Jewish people have never believed in any partners with God, but I've heard from more than one Muslim that there is this idea of Jewish people believing in a partner with God, someone called Son of Israel, which again, I never heard from Jewish people or never read in any of our holy books in 50 years, but it's one of those misconceptions.
Must be, yeah.
Unless there was some small fringe group of Jewish people in the past, I don't know.
Okay.
So maybe that's where the story comes from. No idea. But there are many myths that people, people assume things about other communities.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, what do you find myths about Muslims that you find most surprising, or that you think, where did they get that from?
There are some interesting myths, but since Muslims are very spoken, they sort it out some way. Jews are living in minority.
Yes.
So that's the reason you don't know about them.
Right.
When you don't know about things, misconception exceeds more and more.
Yes.
Yeah. And people are not even allowed, maybe from Jewish side and from other side as well, to interact with each other. And that creates more problem, politically and other things involved in it. So about the Muslims, I guess if there must be, they sort out, they explain things.
Right.
Like, a Muslim can eat with Jew.
Right.
There is no problem with that at all.
Right.
But a Muslim cannot eat with someone who believes that God has partner.
All right.
They call mushrik.
Yes.
The one who shares God, have many gods, maybe,
So is that true? So that Muslims cannot eat, say, does that mean Muslims cannot have a meal with a Christian?
If Christian believes in one God, as they claim that they believe in one God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So because this is a big debate among Jewish scholars as well.
Yeah.
Is how do we understand the Christian claim to monotheism, right?
Yeah.
And what I find really interesting is that scholars who lived in Muslim lands said, the Christians must believe in two gods, because they never spoke to Christians. Scholars who lived in Christian lands said, look, believing in Jesus is not acceptable for Jews. For Jews, it would be considered partnership with God. We call it shituf. You call it, what do you call it, mushrik?
Mushrik, yeah.
Yeah, so in Jewish religious law, it's called shituf. Shituf means partnership. And the belief of among some of the European great scholars was that even if it's not acceptable for Jewish people to believe, in shituf, for Christians it's not idol worship, because as you say, their intention is still to worship one God.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we consider mostly. That's right.
Right. Yeah.
But someone who worship idols, statues, like Hindus does. So we can't.
You can't have meals with them.
Yeah, but there's a category: what kind of meal we can have and what kind we cannot. We can have fruits as they are protected, but if something is like sharing same plate, or you share the liquid,
right? Okay. So, and would everyone agree with that idea that it's okay to have fruits, or is that also a debate?
Well, mostly people do not appreciate having food, because the problem arises from the slaughter as well. You can't eat their slaughter.
Got it. Right.
Because they don't take God's name, the holy God, one God. That's the problem.
Right. I'm going to offer you some tea.
Yeah.
Now, during 6 days of the week, we use this small kettle to make the tea. But on the Shabbat, because of the holy day, we cannot cook anything. So if we want hot water on the holy day, we need to cook it before the Shabbat. So this one here, if you look closely, you'll see it says here Or le Shabbat. So this is a modified I don't know what you call it, for Shabbat.
A machine is specified for Shabbat.
For hot water for Shabbat.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look here, if you look at the top, you'll see it actually has the words in Hebrew, because just so that for people in lots of different countries, so this says peticha, similar to fatiha. It means open. Right. So in Hebrew, peticha is open, and segira is closed. Okay. And the way this works to make it appropriate for Shabbat is there are two switches. One is for boil. Before sunset today, because today is a Friday, we will push that button, and that will boil up the water. Okay. When the water is boiled, we'll switch that off. And there's another one is another one that's keep warm. So that's just and then because it's full, the water boils away slowly. So on Saturday afternoon for lunch, we can still have
hot water.
But if we didn't do that before Shabbat,
it's useless.
There's no hot water.
So the moment we're going to sit together, I'm going to ask why God has forbidden you to eat, to cook, or to engage yourself outside in Shabbat. That's an important question.
Great question.
ख़वातीन हज़रात, ये हम पूछने लगे हैं क्योंकि शबात को वो आप देखें खाना भी नहीं कुक कर सकते, शबात को बड़ी एक्टिविटीज नहीं कर सकते, घर में रहना है, काम पे नहीं जाना है, बिजनेस डीलिंग नहीं करनी है, तो शबात में ऐसा मसला क्या है, सैटरडे में ऐसा मसला क्या है, क्यों इनको मना किया गया, ये मैंने इनसे पूछ के ही छोड़ना है आज. We gotta learn different prayers about different food.
Yes.
So in Muslims we say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious and merciful. And specifically we read prayers, different prayers. It can be like Bismillahi wa ala barakatullah, with the blessings of God we are starting. God bless this food for us. That's it. What do you have?
Yeah. So we have different blessings. So for bread, the blessing is Hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Okay.
The one we bless you, God, King of the universe, who takes out bread from earth. Okay. When if we have fruit, there's this different blessing that recognizes the fruit. So I'll say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri ha'etz.
Okay, what does it mean?
Bless you, God, who creates different fruits from the tree. Okay?
Wonderful.
So that's, and then if I have a vegetable, it's another blessing.
Yeah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri ha'adama. Bless you, God, the creator of the fruits of the ground. And then for eggs or tea, it's another blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol niya b'dvorei. Bless God, King of the universe. Everything was created. Everything has come into being with His word.
Different prayers for different things. Yeah?
Different prayers for different things. Yeah. Yeah, talking about different fruits. Another important fruit for Jewish people is the pomegranate.
Pomegranate. Okay.
So pomegranates, olives, dates, figs. These are
Similar.
Blessed fruits.
Yeah. In Muslim, they are considered as fruit from the heaven.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Especially pomegranate.
Pomegranates. Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the story about? First of all, kosher.
Yes.
And then Shabbat. So kosher is what exactly kosher is.
Yeah, kosher means proper, fitting, kind of correct. You know, kosher. The word kosher could be used for many things. Say the knife that you use to slaughter is kosher. Also, a Torah scroll. Last time you were here, we saw the scroll.
Yeah.
If that is missing some words, it's not kosher. It's not proper. Okay. So in Judaism, we have 3 kinds of commandments. We talked before about 613 commandments.
Yeah.
There's one kind of commandment that is about justice, about how to be fair to other people, do not steal, must tell the truth, treat other people like you want to be treated. These laws that are very, very simple to understand. That's one class of laws. Another class of laws is called eidos. Eidos means witnesses, similar to the idea of shahada, right? Bearing witness. Okay? But eidos is not just witness about God's existence, but also different beliefs about God. So say, for example, this bread here, this is a special Shabbat bread.
Okay.
Okay? On Shabbat, it's not obligation, but it's common to have braided bread. Okay? So there's, this is, the dough is braided.
Yeah.
Shabbat is a testimony that God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th day.
God rested.
When we say rested, the word in Hebrew, Shabbat, could mean rested, but it also could mean stopped. Okay, because of course God doesn't get tired. So common translation is rested, but the better translation is ceased, stopped.
So God was working 6 days, and the 7th day He stopped working.
That's one way of reading it. Another way of saying it is that God was actively changing the nature of reality for 6 days. So He spoke for 6 days, and every time He spoke, something changed. And when we change things, there's a certain dominance that we have, where we write something or we cook something. We take something, this was running, and now it's solid. Right? So we're changing things. And for 6 days, God was changing things. He was creating animals. He was creating trees. And then on the seventh day, he stopped. And so that's a very, from a spiritual perspective, this holy day is a time where God is not, the 6 days represents God dealing with the world in a way of action, in the way of in a way, not fully with us, because God has such great power that to create a tree or animal is a small part of his power, right? So in a way, even though God was creating things for the 6 days, but so much of God was actually held back because God didn't use his full power. If he used his full power, you'd have trees that go a million miles, right? They'd be enormous. Like, you wouldn't have small trees and specific plants and flowers. None of that could exist, right? So it's only on Shabbat that God is fully present with us, because God is not creating things. So there's a sense of being in the presence of God in a different way on Shabbat. It's like you are in the palace of a king, okay? Right here in front of you, right here with you, is God, being so present. So on Shabbat, if you do things that are changing the world, that are cooking, writing, planting, you're not present with Shabbat, with God. So if you stop doing 39 different kinds of things in Shabbat, you're saying this is a special time for me to be with God. Now, obviously, I've got young children, they get bored, so, we'll play some games on Shabbat, or, sometimes I'll walk in the bush also to appreciate God's beautiful nature. Not far from here, if the rain stops, I can show you my Shabbat walking spot in nature.
Love to see it.
Yeah.
So how familiar is the Shabbat idea with, not the Shabbat idea, but God working 6 days and stop working on 7th day is familiar, how familiar it is with God saying in Quran, إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَدَ شَيْءً فَيَقُولُ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُن. So the power of God is that almighty that he will spell a word for it, be, and it will become.
Yes.
So it's a journal thing, because in Islam, it is like God created things in 6 days. 6 days and some 7 nights, 6 nights and 7 days, something like that.
Okay.
सलामती है अगर आप चाहते हैं कि आपके बच्चे चाहे वो मशरिक में रहते हों या मगरिब में, यूरोप में, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, अमेरिका में, दुबई में या फिर कनाडा में, दुनिया के किसी भी हिस्से में, अगर वो इन असातिज़ा के साए में रहना चाहते हैं, गाए बगाए इनके साथ नसीहत हासिल करना चाहते हैं, कुरान की तालीम हो, मज़हब की बुनियाद हो, अकायद हो, फ़िक़्ह हो, या वो बेसिक चीज़ें हों जो उनके अखलाक को मजबूत बनाती हैं, उन्हें अपने कल्चर के साथ जोड़ती हैं, तो फिर आपको रब्बानी किड्स एकेडमी में अपने बच्चों का दाखिला करवाना ही पड़ेगा। एक ऐसा इदारा है जो ग्लोबली सबको जोड़ता है और एक बेहतरीन असातिज़ा की ज़ेरे परस्ती, उनकी ज़ेरे साया, उनकी ज़ेरे निगरानी जारी और सारी है। फ़ौरन से क्लिक करें, वेबसाइट पे जाएं, राब्ता करें और अपने बच्चों का एडमिशन कराएं, ताकि आपको दुनिया भर के मजहबी और अखलाकी मयारों के साए में अपने बच्चों को परवरिश देने का मौका मिले।
So again, it's a question of mine to Muslim scholars and to Jewish scholars as well, that if he is saying his power is just say kun and everything becomes in a second or more less than a second, why taking these days?
Beautiful. So Jewish scholars explain, ask this very question in the Talmud. Basar Mamaris Nivra Olam, the world was created with 10 sayings. God spoke 10 times. Everything was created in 10 times. It could be created in one time. God could just say, creation happens now, and everything would be created with one word. So the Talmud explains there's 2 reasons for this. One is to give reward to people who do righteousness, and therefore they honor God's creation through the righteousness. And because God spoke 10 times, 10 times as much reward. Okay, so when we behave with righteousness with God's creation, because God gave it 10 words, 10 times he spoke, 10 times as much reward because we're honoring God. When we honor creation, when we say a blessing for the fruit, or we deal honestly with business, all of these things, you're honoring God in God's creation from 10 times. And also for punishment. If someone dishonors God's creation, more punishment, because you're not just dishonoring God's creation that he did with one word. God spoke 10 times, and if someone dishonors God's creation or dishonors God using creation, God spoke 10 times for this. This is precious. God himself spoke for 10 different times.
More valuing that.
It's more valuing. So it's a way of showing God's love for us in speaking more times for this creation. Then if God just spoke once, it would be less showing God's love for people.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so it's interesting, isn't it? Because that God does have that infinite power. I mean, the other thing that is confusing for some Jewish people is this idea of God resting. You mean God is tired? God has infinite power. He doesn't need to rest, right? Doesn't need a break.
So in the Jewish eye, I mean, of course, it will take a lot of time, but concisely, what is the idea of creating humanity? Like, it started from Adam. Is it the same story that we read every time in Quranic version and Biblic version as well? That it was God who intended to create Adam and tell the angels that I'm going to create one powerful, mighty creature. You have to bow in front of Adam. Everyone did, only one. His name was Satan, Iblis, and he said, I will not surrender, and then he became the enemy. What is his whole idea?
Yes. So many details of the story of creation that you just described are exactly in the Torah. Some are not. So in the Torah, it says God said to the angels, well, it doesn't say who he spoke to. It said God said, "Nase, let us create man." So when God said, "Let us create man," we understand this to mean, because he's talking in the plural, "Let us create man," and who's he talking to? Right? Because all the other creations, God doesn't discuss it with anyone. God says, there should be light. Or, let there be light, and light appears. All the other creations, God doesn't have any conversation about it. He just speaks what commands,
and the thing happens.
Or he speaks to the earth. He says the earth commands the earth to put forward vegetation. Man is different. When God creates humans, God says, he talks about his plan first before he creates the human. So clearly there is showing greater importance, right? Just as I said before, about the 10 times God spoke about creation as a whole, shows more importance. With the human being, God speaks even more. Not just says let human be created, but also talks about the plan, the intention to create humans. That's similar. In our tradition, we don't have the story about the rest of creation needing to bow to Adam. Instead, we have God says to Adam, you will be the ruler over all of creation. So it's a very similar idea, but expressed a little bit differently. Also in the Torah, the angel we call Satan, that in English they call him Satan, or I think in Arabic it's Shaitan, right? That word is not spoken in the Torah in the creation story. It comes much later in the Torah, and for us the word Satan means distraction. So to turn you away from what you're supposed to do. So I mean, I was looking at the Quran. An imam gave me a gift of a Quran recently, and I was looking. There are Some things that the way that the story is told is the same.
Yeah.
And there are some details that are different in the Torah and the Quran. Yeah. Or even the way it's organized. I think it was the creation story. In the Torah, the creation story is all in one, in two chapters, but at the beginning, all together. The creation story is all at the beginning of the Torah, and it has it. Some of it is repeated, but mostly it's in the same place. Where I think in the Quran, if I remember correctly, I think it was the creation story. Maybe it's another concept, but there are different parts of it in different places.
Yeah.
In different chapters.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
God has described the creation in many chapters, and gives you variety. But the interesting thing, and maybe it could be a good question as well. So how do you see Adam and Eve in the heaven, and all of a sudden what happened that kicked them out from heaven? Did they made any mistake over there? Because the Muslim version of seeing prophets, including Moses as well,
Yes.
is they can't do any mistake.
Right. Yes.
So how do you see this?
Yeah. I'll tell you in a second, but I'm curious from the Muslim perspective. So if Adam cannot make a mistake, why did he go away from the garden?
Yeah.
So you know, from the Muslim point of view, how do Muslims explain that?
Well, they have a different answer, of course. So they consider it not a mistake, but a will of God, a plan of God. That's not called mistake, but tarke ula. It means haven't done something best, but haven't done something wrong.
I see.
In a gray area,
Got it.
which was not favorable, not favorite of God, but not wrong.
I see. Right. Right. Okay. So in Jewish teachings, prophets can make mistakes.
Prophets can make mistakes.
So Adam was commanded from all the fruits of from all the fruits of all the trees in the garden you may eat, but there's an exception. And then it says that a snake came and spoke to Eve, to Chava. Hawa.
Yeah.
Chava. Same. Chava was convinced by the snake, and the snake. What is the snake? It's not clear. I mean, when the story says a snake, but snakes don't normally talk. Right?
Yeah.
So what the scholars say in the midrash. So the midrash is a tradition that wasn't originally written down. It's not in the Torah itself, but it's extra explanations. A little bit similar to the Hadith, except it's not stories about one prophet. It's many stories about many different prophets and many different explanations and moral teachings. So I mean, yeah, I don't know so much about the Hadith, but I think it's similar to Hadith, but also different. Midrash.
Okay.
Midrash says that this snake was Satan, Shaitan. Okay, so this was actually that angel who has the role to tempt people. So she ate from the tree, she gave it to her husband, and this was the one commandment that God said to them that you should not do. So, and also, I mean, it's not seen as inherently evil. It was more that it wasn't the right time. So God said you should not eat from it, but it was a limited time. It wasn't an evil fruit.
Okay.
It was just that God did not want them to eat from that fruit until Shabat. So they were created on Friday, and for a few hours they were not supposed to eat from that fruit. And then when the holy day of Shabbat, they would be allowed to eat from it. That's what the teachings are.
You couldn't hold for a few hours.
Couldn't hold for a few hours. That's right. But also that idea that God was part of God's plan is one of some Jewish scholars also understand that Adam was created by God, right? He was God's own creation. So yes, he's a prophet because God talks to him, but he's also such a special man. He wasn't a child of two humans who, with all of their flaws and faults and foolishness. The source of him was the earth that God had just created, and God Himself creating Adam. So there's an understanding that and this is a complicated idea, but because Jewish belief is very strong on free choice. If we sin, it was our choice. If we do what God wants, it's our choice. And paradoxically, we also believe that sometimes God wants us to be in particular times and places. And so even though Adam and Eve did have a choice to eat or not to eat, but God had a plan as well.
Yeah.
So look, God is a mystery. Some people say, oh, it doesn't make sense. Was it his choice or wasn't it his choice? Did God have a plan or was Adam completely responsible? And I think that for me personally, as a Jewish scholar, I think that sometimes one way of understanding holy writings is more similar to poetry than mathematics. In mathematics, there's one right answer, right? Yeah. It's either this number or that number. You know what I mean? But I feel we have a beautiful saying that the Torah has 70 faces, 7 different.
You know what? We believe the same for Quran.
Wow.
Yeah, 70 different meanings.
Amazing. I didn't know this.
Parallel, yeah.
70 different meanings for the Quran.
Yeah, it could be in 70 different ways.
Yeah.
One of the hadiths of Imam Jafar as-Sadiq said, so a single quote of Quran has 70 different faces that you can understand.
Amazing. First time I hear this.
Yeah.
So I didn't know this. Yeah, so this is my favorite. When I teach the Torah to my community, one of the things I will say often is the 70 faces of the Torah, because we don't know all, and 70 is just a big number. It's not exact, but there's so many scholars who have different explanations. But coming back to the question about mistakes, there are different scholars. Some will say clearly, Moses made a mistake when he hit the rock. God said to him, talk to a rock and it will give water. To the Bnei Israel, to the Jewish people, when they left Egypt, they were in the desert, they were thirsty. God says to Moses 2 times. First time he says to Moses, you must hit the rock. And then second time he says, you must talk to the rock. And Moses hits the rock the second time. And God says, for this, you're not going to go to the promised land. So we do believe that with Musa, Moses, Moshe in Hebrew, that he made a mistake because he was angry. The people had, and I know in the Quran there's also stories about the people sometimes making Moses, showing disrespect to Moses. I think
the Muslims mostly believe, or the Hadiths believe in a way, that Jewish are kind of disrespectful towards Moses and different prophets as well, because they consider they make mistakes, they do foolish things, and then they forget things, and all of a sudden they realize. So Muslims' version is kind of different. I know they're very holy, they can't do mistakes, and like you quoted. So when Moses hit someone and he died,
no, that's not seen as a mistake.
That was not seen as a mistake?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So when he hit that man, the scholars say, first of all, it doesn't say he hit him. He says he killed him, but it doesn't say how he killed him. And according to traditions, Moses said one of the names of God. And the power of him saying that name, because he was such a holy prophet, that man died. But the man that he killed was trying to kill another man. He was a slave driver, and he was bashing this man, and he could have killed him. And Moses saw an innocent person being attacked, so he intervened. So that's not seen as a mistake. And we see Moses as perfect. It's one of those riddles, one of those puzzles, because we see Moses as perfect, but still we see that he made a mistake. I think one of the things that's tricky is because our tradition sometimes, will say critical things about different people. Sometimes some scholars will have criticism of Ishmael, Abraham's other son. And I know that for a lot of Arabic people, Ishmael is seen as the father, the line that they come from.
And the prophet as well.
And the prophet comes from Ishmael. Yes, well, that's right. So
Ishmael himself was a prophet as well. For Muslims.
So Muslims have Ishmael as a prophet. In Jewish teachings, there's some teachings that are critical of Ishmael.
And I'm sorry, but the major difference
it's Jewish solely believe that Isaac was the one who was sacrificed or offered.
Yes.
And Muslims believe it was Ishmael.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that what God wants from us is to respect that we know each other.
Yeah.
And we know that there are some things about what the other person believes that we will see as not correct.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, our tradition is very clear that it's Isaac, Yitzchak. Most Muslims that I've spoken to say it was Ishmael. I'm not sure if it's completely clear in the Quran, but I think we need to we need to receive all of God's guidance. Right? God teaches us about being merciful, about being good to our neighbors. I love that beautiful hadith about 40 neighbors this way, 40 neighbors that way.
Yeah.
Right? You have obligations to the people around you, right? Yeah. And this could coexist with, there's a imam is a very, very good friend of mine. And he says, in today's Western culture, like in countries like in Australia or, some European cultures, people have forgotten about being able to disagree. And the word that we use in Australia, or the English word tolerance. Now, tolerance means I don't agree with you, but I put up with that you have a belief that's different to mine. And I love my belief, and you have your belief. There's that beautiful verse in the Quran, towards the end of the Quran, where it says, I say to the unbelievers, you have your way, I have my way. I'm not going to convert you. You're not going to convert me, right? Exactly, right? And that's something I think some people today and this is not from our religion. This is from secular ideas that if you say something I don't agree with, or if you have a belief I don't agree with, you're my enemy,
Yeah.
And people you see on social media, people are very aggressive towards somebody that has a different opinion. How does someone having a different opinion hurt you?
Yeah.
God knows the truth. Did Moses make a mistake when he hit the rock? Or is there some other meaning? That Adam, when he ate the forbidden fruit, was it, as you say, not ideal, not preferred, not perfect, or was it a sin? And we have those kind of teachings as well, not about Adam, but also this idea that sometimes a prophet could be not doing a sin, but not doing the best.
Yeah.
We have a similar concept, right? But this belongs to God, this belongs for people to hate each other because someone has an opinion. I can understand people hate each other if they're causing each other harm. I mean, in our tradition, we do have the word hate is in the Torah. Some people say, hate is a bad word. But in the Torah it says if a man marries a woman and he hates her, they should get divorced. Okay? They should get divorced. Because marriage is supposed to be about support and oneness and love and care. People that are God created men and women, and God wanted a man to leave his parents and to be with his wife and to become like one. So if they're not like one, if they hate each other, okay, well, then go your separate ways. But that's because there's harm. If two people living in a house, if they hate each other, or there's different things that they do that very much upset each other, that's fine. But the hatred we have today on social media, somebody said this word or that word, and suddenly it's with rage and anger and hatred. It's words. Yeah. I mean, words are important. I get it, right? But someone has an opinion. We all have thoughts, and to hate people because of their thoughts. Of course, you see it in Europe as well, right? In Ireland, you had the Catholics and the Protestants. They both claim to believe in the one God that we believe in, right? Yeah. But they believe this small thing, that small thing.
That's wrong.
Talking about food, do you have traditions about how much food to eat?
Well, yeah. The problem is no one follows it very, very maturely.
So what's the teaching about how much food to eat?
Gave us a complete medical
health line,
Right.
instructions to be followed by everyone. So he said that there are 3 halves in your stomach,
Okay.
like 3 parts.
Right.
Make sure you do not fill it, all of them.
Right.
Make 2 of them fill and leave 1 of it empty.
Mm.
That's the way of eating it.
Right.
Not, eat like all
right.
of it.
Right. Right.
And of course, washing the hands is much preferred, actually ordered, because it gives you blessings. Wash your sins, and after you, once you're done with the food, also washing it is preferred with the prayers. Yeah. So
we also have, by the way, I'll just show you. We have for before we have a meal.
Yeah.
We wash our hands with a special cup.
Yeah.
With these different handles. I mean, it could be made out of plastic or whatever. This is metal, but we pour water on each hand 3 times.
We'll do it. It's all to use before the prayers. Yeah.
You go in synagogue. We wash our hands with this in this way before prayer, after sleeping.
Yeah.
And
after sleeping,
waking up in the morning.
Oh yeah.
The first thing in the morning, we believe that when you sleep, part of your soul goes back to God.
Right.
And then God, when you wake up, God is giving you back your soul. And in Judaism, any form of death is like spiritually unclean. And we believe that, so because when you're asleep, it's like a little bit like death, because your soul has left your body to 1/60th of death. Okay. So to wash away any bad energy from your sleep, we wash our hands. So that, and before prayer. So in ancient times, we would wash our hands and feet. I don't know when it changed or why, but now the practice is to wash your hands before prayer.
Okay.
But not your feet.
All right.
There's a difference with wudu.
Wudu, yeah, that's right. So discussing the mistakes or not, the misconceptions actually.
Yep.
It is also a misconception, or maybe not, that Muslims see Jewish scriptures kind of disrespectful towards Prophet. Like King David had a lot of wives, and he was in, kind of in lust with women, and Muslims do not like it, because he considered David as very holy person, prophet of course, and prophets cannot be in lust and women and doing sin and killing someone's wife and having it. What's the story?
It's not clear. So in the Talmud, which is one of our most important books, it is written, anyone who says that King David sinned, it says in the Talmud, anyone who says that King David sinned is making a mistake. Yeah. So we have also in our tradition these ideas about the prophets being perfect, but it's not as clear in Jewish tradition as it is in Muslim tradition. So there are deep explanations of I don't remember the various ways that they explain. I mean, one of the technical things is that this woman that David married was not married anymore technically, because the soldiers in King David's army, her husband was a soldier, would divorce their wives before they went to war. That way, if they got lost in war, the woman could remarry. Because often in war people go missing, and in Jewish law, if someone is married and then their husband goes missing, it's called aguna. Aguna means like held down, like with the anchor of a ship, because she stuck to her husband. The husband has gone missing, but she can't marry anybody else. So the Talmud says that what King David, his army would do, is they would give their wife a divorce before they went to war. If the war is over, they waited for a while and the husband's not back, then they just went off and married somebody else because they got divorced. If the husband comes back, then they just can get remarried, or maybe I think divorce was conditional. So divorce is only on condition that they don't come back within a certain amount of time. So if that's the case, then this woman was not a married woman that King David married. So at that time, there were in Jewish law there is permission to have more than one wife. Polygamy is allowed. In the last 1,000 years, that's stopped for Jews from Central and Eastern Europe, because there was a scholar named Rabbeinu Gershom, and he had 2 wives, and they were jealous of each other. And one of them went to the king and said, accused her husband of some things because she was so angry with the other wife. And so he said, looking at his own experience, he said, we just have to stop polygamy. It's the jealousy that could be between 2 wives is such a terrible problem that we must forbid it. So in certain communities it was forbidden, but not in all communities. I mean, there was in Morocco, there was a very respected scholar. He had 4 wives. He was known as the Baba Sali, the praying father. He was a very, very respected scholar, and he had more than one wife. So polygamy in European for Eastern and Central European Jews, it became forbidden then. It's not.
So can a scholar make the changes in the holy book or the prophet saying afterwards?
Very good question. The prophet, the scholar does not change the law. The 613 commandments are from God, and no one can add to it or take away from it. That is set. What scholars can do is they can make a secondary kind of rule that doesn't have the same respect and seriousness as the main as God's commandments, but it's an extra thing. So, for example, this hat is not in the Torah, right? The scholars have recommended that by having a hat, you remember that God is above you, but this is not a commandment. Okay. And that we must be very clear about the difference. Yeah.
So it's optional, recommended, but not compulsory. What's the scholar say?
Well, there's 2 levels. This is recommended, not compulsory, but then there are also some things that the scholars say that is compulsory, but it's less serious. So say, for example, if there is a commandment from God and there's a doubt about that commandment, you always have to be strict. If there's a doubt about a rule from the scholars, you go lenient. Okay, because that's showing there's a big difference between commands from God and the scholars. So when the scholar said that people should not marry more than one wife, he said that would be a rule for 1,000 years, not forever. And also, clearly that's not on the same level as if it's not to go against the rule of a scholar is not the same as going against the rules of God. However, what it's written in the Torah that God says you should obey the scholars. You should seek their guidance. You should seek their advice. If you don't know what to do, you should ask them and do as they say. So indirectly, because God has given that respect to the scholars, we're honoring God by obeying the scholars. So, for example, the rule about washing your hands before eating bread is from the scholars. That's not from the Torah. In the Torah, it's only for priests who are doing korban. They had to wash their hands. For ordinary people, there was no such obligation. But the scholars wanted people to remember the way that korban was done and the way that the Kohen is from a special family, from the brother of Moses, Musa's brother, Aaron in Hebrew. So Aaron's family are considered to have a special role in worship.
Yeah.
And so they would wash their hands before they ate certain holy food. When the temple was destroyed in Jerusalem and we stopped having korbanos, to remember that, the scholars said, okay, everyone should wash their hands before they're eating bread. And so that's not from the Torah. But when we wash our hands, because it's an indirect commandment from God, we say a blessing, as we say, Asher Kiddush, bless you, God, Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvosav, that you made us holy. You know, the word Kodesh in Hebrew is holy. I think there's an Arabic word that's very similar. Kudus.
Quds, yeah.
Yeah. So God, you make us holy through your commandments. And even though this is a commandment not from God, it's a commandment from scholars, but because God commanded us to obey the scholars, and the scholars said to wash our hands before we pray and before we eat, we say a blessing for the washing of the hands.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think we're done with the food.
We're done with the food. I'll just show you one more thing for with the washing the hands. This is a little bit different. You talked about before eating.
Yeah.
Before eating, we wash our hands fully from a cup with two handles.
Yeah.
At the end of a meal, if we had bread, before we thank God for the food, we wash just our fingertips. Okay. So it's called mayim achronim. Mayim is water. Achronim is last ones. And at the end of the meal, we wash our fingertips and sort of wash our mouth, and then we say the blessing for the food. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borer Kashrut Rabbos v'esreinu al kol ma shebarasa, v'achlis behem nefesh kol chai, baruch Amen. Okay, that's a blessing after eating food.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen is a common word in Jewish and Christians and Muslims as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you say Amin. Huh?
Amen. Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah. So I'm glad you enjoyed the food, and I can see that you certainly didn't eat 2/3, but
yeah.
And remember, I told you before that we have the milk and the meat separate.
Yeah.
So if you can put the plate just there, where the milk food goes, the milk plates.
All right.
And not mix it up with the meat one.
सलामती है अगर आप चाहते हैं कि आपके बच्चे चाहे वो मशरिक में रहते हों या मगरिब में, यूरोप में, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, अमेरिका में, दुबई में या फिर कनाडा में, दुनिया के किसी भी हिस्से में, अगर वो इन असातिज़ा के साए में रहना चाहते हैं, गाए बगाए इनके साथ नसीहत हासिल करना चाहते हैं, कुरान की तालीम हो, मज़हब की बुनियाद हो, अकायद हो, फ़िक़्ह हो, या वो बेसिक चीज़ें हों जो उनके अखलाक को मजबूत बनाती हैं, उन्हें अपने कल्चर के साथ जोड़ती हैं, तो फिर आपको रब्बानी किड्स एकेडमी में अपने बच्चों का दाखिला करवाना ही पड़ेगा। एक ऐसा इदारा है जो ग्लोबली सबको जोड़ता है और एक बेहतरीन असातिज़ा की ज़ेरे परस्ती, उनकी ज़ेरे साया, उनकी ज़ेरे निगरानी जारी और सारी है। फ़ौरन से क्लिक करें, वेबसाइट पे जाएं, राब्ता करें और अपने बच्चों का एडमिशन कराएं ताकि आपको दुनिया भर के मजहबी और अखलाकी मयारों के साए में अपने बच्चों को परवरिश देने का मौका